It's been called one of the most rewarding symphonies to conduct and also one of the most difficult. Here to tell us why he chose it to kick off the 75th season of the Jacksonville Symphony Orchestra is music director Courtney Lewis. Hi, Courtney. Welcome back.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Have you had a good summer?
I've had a moderately good summer. I had an operation on my arm, which is a bit tedious, but I traveled to Ireland to see my family, traveled to Vail to hear some classical music. Not bad.
Okay, terrific. So we just heard a little bit of Mahler, the second symphony
Hmm.
known as the Resurrection.
Yes.
What should people know about it?
Well, it's one of the most enormous pieces in the repertoire, and it's the kind of piece that you reach for when you want to celebrate something really important, just the way we tend to play Beethoven 9 at New Year's Eve. Mahler 2 is one of those pieces that really defines the grandeur of the human spirit being great enough to even overcome death. And there's something about special occasions like the opening of the 75th season, which we're about to embark on, that need that kind of emotional catharsis to feel big enough. And this is definitely one of those pieces that provides that.
So is that what the industry calls it, Mahler 2?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Got
That's
to
right.
know the lingo.
Yep.
So this actually got new attention with the release of the film Maestro,
That's
which
right.
is about Leonard Bernstein.
Hmm.
He was a famous conductor, of this piece,
Hmm.
um, and his interpretation of it was controversial.
Yeah.
Explain why.
It's very slow. Bernstein tended to do everything to the absolute extreme, which is wonderful, as a certain way, but it can sometimes make performances a little portentous. And he was a great Mahler conductor. We owe him a lot because remember, before the 1970s, nobody really played this music. It sat in relative obscurity between Mahler's death and the 1970s when it was rediscovered. And Bernstein was a huge proponent of that. There are wonderful video rehearsals of him conducting the Mahler symphonies with the Vienna Phil the first time they ever play it, and he's teaching them their own music. So we owe Bernstein a lot, but I have to say I wouldn't reach for that CD if I were going to listen to the piece.
Who would you listen to other
Um,
than yourself?
no, absolutely not. It's far too embarrassing. Um, Claudio Abbado or Simon Rattle would be my two conductors, both with the Berlin Philharmonic.
Okay, and so this performance, this piece has five
Hmm.
parts, five.
Yep.
Explain to me what they're movements, right?
5 movements.
So,
Yep.
but there's actually a giant break that occurs between a couple of them. It's supposed to be 5 minutes long.
Well, Mahler actually writes that it be 10 minutes in the score between the first and second movement. In practice, that's really a very, very long time to sit quietly in a concert
Well,
hall.
explain what that's about. I mean, this is not John Cage. It's a an actual
Yeah.
orchestra performance.
Well, the first movement is incredibly dark. The pieces are kind of journey from darkness to light, from sadness to happiness. So the first movement, which was originally entitled Totenfeier or Funeral Rites, when Mahler wrote it as a standalone piece, is very dark in the kind of way that we might hear in the first movement of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. It's very philosophical. Um, then the second movement is a Ländler, a very easy Austrian dance. And Mahler just felt that the contrast was so great between the two movements that the audience needed a second to kind of take a deep breath.
Interesting. And so, how long of a pause do you take in your performance?
I think about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay. I wanted to listen to a piece of the third movement because there's this, sometimes known as the death shriek. It's
Mhm.
kind of a very intense moment. And I just wanted to play it and then have you describe what it's like conducting that
Mhm.
moment.
Mhm.
So, talk about that.
Getting goosebumps listening to it. I mean, this is about as good as conducting gets, conducting this music. You feel like you're Superman. And
Hmm.
having all those instruments that you're at the end of your fingertips is incredibly exciting. It's one of the reasons I continue to love the job so much. But Mahler 2 is one of those pieces that I think most conductors would say is on their, top 2 or 3 things to conduct because it's just so exciting being in front of that much sound.
It's so complicated, though, and you're also working with a full chorus,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So how do you manage all of those moving pieces? It's gotta be very difficult, I would think, emotionally, physically, to
Hmm.
keep all that together.
See, the thing nobody ever realizes when they say, what does a conductor do, is that all the music says is fast, slow, moderate tempo. It could be any number of different speeds. And you use your tempo in a way that you can try and make the whole performance from beginning to end, 90 minutes, a single arc, And that's good conducting, when you feel that one movement flows seamlessly from the one before. And that's actually very difficult to do, because when you're actually in the moment, you're dealing with a million different events. You're bringing in clarinets and telling people to play softer and bringing in the soloist. But so part of your head is absolutely local, but then part of your head is almost like a bird flying over the top of the piece in the sky, looking at the whole thing and where you are. You don't get too fast here, because you've got to go all that way to the end of that bit, and then you'll be too fast there. You can overcook things or undercook things when you conduct. So I'm very happy to be doing this piece for the second time. We did it a few years here before. Carrie Ann said the first 80 performances of any piece were bad. So
Oh, really?
here's for number 2.
So some of the people that you chose to be vocalists in this are really well known. A soprano, Ailyn Pérez,
Ailyn Pérez.
Ailyn Pérez, and a mezzo-soprano named Isabel Leonard. So how did you choose them, and what's their interplay with this performance?
Well, Isabel Leonard is a very famous mezzo. She actually sang it in Maestro. She's the singer who sings the same music on that film. So we were delighted to get her. Ailyn and I have a bit more of a personal relationship, because her husband, the great bass baritone Solomon Howard, sang in our performance of La Bohème a couple of years ago. And they're this very famous, beautiful couple. And she came to his Bohème performances and then came to the cast party at my house afterwards. And we met and we played some Schubert together at the piano. So we got to know each other. And then I bumped into her again last year at the Paris Opera when we were both working there. So when you have random connections with people, you can get soloists who are sometimes out of your price range. You can persuade them to come,
Yeah.
which is what we've done here.
Yeah, and so this is kicking off on the 21st of
Mhm.
September. Is that right? This
Just
is a one night only.
One night only, yeah.
And so what should people think about? How should they prepare for an event like this? I mean, if they're going in cold and they're maybe not a symphonic expert, but they know that this piece is appealing for all of the reasons that we've talked about.
Listen to it before you go.
Really?
And I always think that you get so much more out of classical music when you know the music. Very hard to listen to a piece the first time and get more than 30% of what's going on. And
That's
also, once you've
good
listened to
advice.
music,
That's interesting. Yeah.
once you know a piece, you know your way through it, and you're much likely to get bored in the middle or lost.
Uh-huh.
So I would recommend getting a CD, going on Spotify or Tidal, and streaming a couple of performances.
There are still some VIP packages available for this event.
That's right.
And of course, tickets available at the Jacksonville Symphony website.
Yep, jacksymphony.org.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure to have you back, Courtney Lewis. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Anne. It's lovely to see you.